Greetings and welcome to FreedomBookClub.com's monthly Book of the Month announcement. My name is Ferb. I'm the managing editor of the club's website. And it's March 13th, 2013. I'm here to announce the Book of the Month. Woo! I hope this isn't too close, but I'm doing the best I can here. Having some technical difficulties since I'm operating with only one computer at the moment. Just moved into the new world headquarters of FreedomBookClub.com. So here I am. And so let's talk about what's going on in the club. This month, our book of the month is Silver Circle graphic novel by Pasha Roberts, Stephen Schwartz, and some other people. So, let's look at the breakdown of things. This is, of course, publicly available through our website. It goes to a Google document, which you will see in just one moment. Okay, we had 59.1% of the vote going towards our winner, Silver Circle graphic novel. Had 36.2 shares cast for it, and as opposed to 40.9% of the shares cast for what the Anti-Federalists were for. We had a couple of other finalists, which were Lever Action by L. Neil Smith and The Limits of Liberty, or LOL, by James M. Buchanan, the renowned and now deceased Nobel Prize winning economist. Okay, so that's how that broke down. I'm going to show you exactly what happens on the back end with the emails redacted. Okay? Okay, here you see the vote totals are right here. The shares, rather. So, what the Anti-Federalists were for, got 18 responses in favor of it for a total of 25.013 shares. Some of these were unvalidated, supplied emails, but they were not able to be validated, so they get 1/1000th of a share. And I would share those emails with you, but I don't like to do that. Unless you want to buy it, in which case I have to redact all those people that don't want their emails sold. So, whatever. There were 10 responses in favor of Silver Circle graphic novel, which ended up being 36.2 shares. So there were 61.213 shares cast by 28 participants. And that's how we got to these figures here, which ended up making Silver Circle the graphic novel our book of the month. So, I will read to you as soon as it pops up. A review from Amazon.com by Jason Hogat. It says, I'm picky about graphic novels and often have trouble following the action parts, but this one was easy to understand. It was also nice to have a story involving the corrupt Federal Reserve that doesn't have the predictable libertarian/objectivist, unrealistic happy ending where the, quote, better men, end quote, or, quote, better ideas, end quote, win just because they are better. The story isn't perfect, but for how short it is, the authors do a good job of making the characters more interesting than mere stereotypes. It's certainly less predictable than your average anti-hero or cop procedural primetime TV show. So we thank you, Jason Hogat, and we ask that you will take our survey when you're done reading the book. Okay, it says, did you finish it? And this is a number of categories. You can leave a review or a link to a review that you wrote yourself, including you can include book recommendations and your email for validation so we can weight it properly, and that will help us determine which of the books will be book of the year. So, encourage you to click on the link that goes to Amazon and then buy the book. And we also encourage you to go to Goodreads.com and then change the status of want to read to currently reading, which will update your Facebook page maybe and let your friends know what you're doing, so we can spread awareness of the book and get it onto the bestseller list. So it's only 158 pages. It looks like it's from Amazon.com's publishing arm, CreateSpace. So there you go. Okay, so I just want to touch briefly on what I did while I was in New Hampshire for the New Hampshire Liberty Forum, because our organization, FreedomBookClub.com, was a bronze sponsor of that event. I was really, really glad to be able to go to this event, because I've wanted to go ever since they started it. This was, I think, the 6th one. So I went, I vended a lot of books, I talked to a lot of people, and I presented the Book of the Year, which is, the 5th Annual Book of the Year Award winner is Down with Power, Libertarian Policy in a Time of Crisis by L. Neil Smith. Here, you will see, it's at the top of our 2012 page. I was so glad to be able to present that, and it looks like I will be presenting this to L. Neil Smith on April 4th in Fort Collins, Colorado. Details are to follow on that, so watch out. Okay, we're going to go back. Sorry about that, peoples. I know time is ticking. Oh, by the way, we're listening to the podcast called Mental Places by a French artist known as Sub88. You can find this it's the 6th episode of his podcast, which you can find at sub88.podomatic.com. Okay, so here we go. We're going to look at our 4 finalists. Finalist A is Little Pink House by Jeff Benedict. How quaint. Or is it? We're going to InverseCondemnation.com for a excerpt of a review. You remember that line in the Stevie Wonder classic, "For once I can say this is mine, you can't take it"? Turns out they can. In 2005, in Kelo v. New London, the U.S. Supreme Court held the government can take a home, give it to a developer if the developer is projected to pay more taxes. Your property can be condemned if someone else may, quote, make better use of it than you do. A new book, Little Pink House, a true story of defiance and courage, tells the story of Suzette Kelo, the case's namesake, who owned a little pink house in Connecticut taken by eminent domain. It's not a dry recounting of legal doctrines, but a fast-paced insider account explaining why property owners resist losing their land even in the face of overwhelming odds. And as a side note, I don't remember what her name is, but the woman who chained herself to the front porch of this building when they were about to tear it down was at the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. I didn't get a chance to speak with her, but I greatly admire what she did, the principled stand in which she took on behalf of the Kelos, and to demonstrate the inherent unfairness and force of government action. So, that is finalist A. Finalist B is Where Canes Went Wrong by Hunter Lewis. For this, we are going to Goodreads.com to look at David Robbins' review. The full title is Where Keynes Went Wrong and Why World Governments Keep Creating Inflation, Bubbles, and Busts. If you want to see a detailed teardown of Keynes' theories, or if you just want to learn about Keynesianism, a flawed economic theory that both Democrat and Republican politicians generally subscribe to, including the current and recent presidents, this is a good book. The book contains Keynes' general theory and examines it section by section. It's solid, if not inspired. It also has a decent debunking of the idea that any government act helped end the Great Depression. Parenthetically, in fact, government acts quite likely made it worse compared to the Depression of 1920 to 21. It seems that Keynes coasted on a successful publication, Economic Consequences of the Peace, 1919, being a glib speaker, and then saying and writing what governments wanted to hear, that they should interfere in economies. This general theory, which this work examines in details, is rife with contradictions, hunches, inanities, and misdirection. It is essentially Machiavelli's Prince for economics, but without cogent argument. Lewis concludes, quote, "Let us hope that we do not have to wait too long for Keynes to join Mao and Marx and other faded and false utopians. To turn away from false utopias does not mean giving up on entirely attainable ends and ideals. We have a stable economy, one built on truthful prices and profits." Okay, so I'm not going to read any more of that review. We'll go back and look at finalist C, How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World by Harry Browne. I just happen to have a copy of this book right here because there's no picture available. You can see my picture. This is from Kirkus Reviews. Since they don't have cover not available, but it is available. I made it available. Doesn't say who the reviewer is either. Freedom is one of those slippery words which some people spend a lifetime trying to fathom. They're usually called philosophers or malcontents because they never get the answer. Only more questions. Others glibly abuse the word, sloganizing it for political gain. They're called presidents, or senators, or revolutionaries, or your highness, because they have neither the answer nor know the questions. But most of us, the common lot of mankind, feel rather uncomfortable in the presence of such a weighty word. We'd probably rather not think about it, content to bumble along in that state once so aptly called, quote, quiet desperation. Harry Browne, however, doesn't fit any of these categories. He's what you might charitably call a freedom freak, or uncharitably, a midget Ayn Rand. You see, he's a mission for laissez-faire, an apostle of anti-statism, a champion of complete and unfettered selfishness. Who rules the world? You do. Your world, that is. Amen, Harry. You arrive with a clean slate. To be free, all you gotta do is avoid the traps. The government trap, the group trap, the unselfishness trap, the morality trap, the identity trap, the burning issue trap, the box trap, the despair trap, the previous investment trap, the certainty trap. Amen, Harry. To be free, you have only to make the decision to be free. Amen, Harry. Amen. To paraphrase Dr. Johnson, you did not have to eat the whole oxymoron to find out that the meat is tough. Okay, so that was finalist C, a review from Kirkus for Harry Browne's How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World. Finalist D is The Troy Standard and the Men Behind the Desks by A.G. Fredericks. I also happen to have a copy of this book over here, and it's autographed. Let me show you that. You know how I got this book? Because I was a bronze sponsor of the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. I got a really cool gift bag, and that was in it. And I've been previously in contact with A.G. Fredericks through Twitter and email. I'm glad to be able to feature his book. It's gotten some really good reviews, one of which I'm going to share with you right now. This is from the Liberty Homestead. thelibertyhomestead.com. Okay, I'm going to read an excerpt. It's kind of a lengthy review, and I thank the person that wrote it for doing so, and I'm going to leave a nice comment right here. In the novel, the main character, Troy Mulligan, begins to recognize that the state of the economy, and specifically the level of debt being created each year by government and the level of stimulus created by the Federal Reserve, is not sustainable. This is a realization that many people are beginning to reach for themselves. Since the financial collapse of 2008, I know I have viewed our system through very different eyes. In the novel, Troy is a bond trader and has an inside view of the system and the fact that the emperor has no clothes. As we become aware of the precarious state of the country, he takes action, which includes moving some of his investments into gold and silver, storing a bit of extra food, and preparing himself mentally and physically for the changes to come. We can all learn from this work. While it is a work of fiction, I think it can help us to think about what actions we can take to prepare for difficult times. It can also help open the eyes of some that are not quite to the point of admitting to themselves that all is not right with the world. I don't want to give away the entire work, but I will say that we can all learn from Troy in many ways. Here are some of the key lessons. Troy wakes up to the fact that he is let himself go, both physically and mentally. He realizes that he must get into good physical shape, and with that commitment and resulting action, his life improves in many ways. There's more to this review, but I think we'll stop there. I appreciate the person that wrote it, whose name escapes me at the moment, but we'll thank him, and we'll put some comments on there, and hopefully you guys will go to thelibertyhomestead.com and check it out. So, those are the 4 finalists, and you know about the book of the month, so go buy that by going to Amazon.com and clicking add to the cart. Woohoo! Add it to your cart, and then you proceed to checkout, which I'm not going to do right now. I'm going to go back over to this. I want you to go, please, and vote for the book that you want to see for the next book of the month. Little Pink House by Jeff Benedict, Where Canes Went Wrong by Hunter Lewis, How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World by Harry Brown, or The Troy Standard by A.G. Fredericks. Put your email in if you want. You can respond anonymously as well and enter any titles you think might be of interest to other participants in freedombookclub.com. And so, I will say, thanks for joining us. Buy the book of the month, The Silver Circle, the graphic novel by Pasha Roberts and Stephen Schwartz and a whole bunch of other people. And I'll say, be seeing you.